Welcome to this practice. We're going to be exploring this practice as a way that you could bring some of these techniques or tools into a therapeutic setting. Whether you are a mental health provider or a medical health provider or a yoga therapist or a life coach, whatever it is that you're doing, these pranayama techniques, they can be made portable and accessible. We'll start with the larger view of what is yoga. And then I'm going to be asking you to come back to that larger view or that glimpse again and again. I'll remind you at the end of class that that which you're glimpsing is not coming and going. It is that larger presence that you already are. So we're looking for the glimpses because we've gotten lost in the, what I call sometimes the hubbub of daily life, or the mayhem of living. So these techniques are to help bring us back to that glimpse, and also can be used again by providers with their patients or practitioners with their clients or their students. I will also discuss very briefly the three gunas, rajas, tamas, and sattva. And then towards the end of the practice, you're going to hear me talking about positional pranayama. And that is a time that we do go down to the floor and do some of these positions. And I would recommend to you, whether you're a medical provider or a mental health provider or a life coach, to start having like on your radar screen, okay, when can I help my clients to get down to the floor for a yoga practice? So not just sitting in two chairs and not just thinking of it as a practice that happens at the yoga studio or in the athletic club, but can you bring some of this yoga into the work that you're doing with your clients or with your patients? My hope is that you can, because it's really a huge realm of self-care that you can empower your clients and your students to have and to take with them from their sessions or their appointments with you. This is my panda kitty. She's like a baby panda. You can't see her all that much right now. You go, hi, Panda. Okay, I'll see you in class. Let's get started. Good morning and welcome for practice. So in pranayama and meditation practice, we're really looking at the more subtle practices in yoga, whereas with asana practice, it's a more dynamic practice, which is also very valuable. In this morning's practice here, we're going to be exploring how do you create the inner realm where meditation feels more natural, more accessible, more easeful, even if your cat is insisting on affection and you have a meditative mind. So to support this process, what we do is we look at certain positions as eliciting from your body and your nervous system a kind of meditative quality. Of course, we're all coming in with something, which could be a feeling of restlessness, or we had poor sleep, or we had great sleep and we've been out hiking for hours and you're coming in from East Coast time. So we're all coming in with something slightly different physiologically. But the beauty of a yoga practice is that it has these ways of creating the currents of prana in the mind and the body and the heart, through which we actually experience our own inner harmony. And from that place of harmony, then a meditative state feels easier to rest in. We're less mentally distracted. We feel less physically, let's say, ungrounded or lethargic. So that is our aim here, to have that kind of opportunity to really sense what is meditation and what is its power to support us for our physical and mental well-being. So let's start with a comfortable seat. And what you can do is rest your hands in your lap and your cat on your shoulder. You're welcome to close your eyes. Allow your attention to come inward and downward. When you first come to your seat, you might be getting the news of your physiology. So if you were to picture your body right now and the energy pattern that is you, as if it were a weather pattern, what might that be? And you might have a few different weather patterns going on, and that is also okay. We're simply noticing right now. I'm going to ask you to start imagining that what you're noticing in terms of these weather patterns or patterns of energy or prana in the body, they are the ever-changing movement. So in yoga, we would refer to this as the ever-changing or the finite. It's coming and going. Sometimes we refer to it as the fluctuations. And then start becoming aware of the part of you that is paying attention, or that larger aspect of you that is able to give attention to these weather patterns. And that which is sort of lighting up your awareness or your attention, that is considered a larger source of awareness. In the same way that the light bulb may shine, but it knows it's connected to a lamp, and the lamp is connected to a cord, and the cord is connected to a wall, and the outlet is connected to something much larger than itself too. So this energy or awareness that you are seeing yourself through, you could call that Purusha. And then the fluctuations or the physiology that you came in with, you could consider that to be partly your Vikriti. That is the way that your dosha is expressing itself from daily life, having influenced you. And with that in mind, please raise your hands to your heart. And may our practice serve us in the highest good. May there be something that we have a clear view on. We understand something more deeply about ourselves. May we feel nourished. May we overcome the habits that cause our forgetfulness or our darkness. May we experience inner peace and luminosity. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Punaktu Saviryang Karava Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvesha Vahi Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Punaktu Saviryang Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvesha Vahi Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Punaktu Saviryang Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvesha Vahi Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. Okay, with your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Open your eyes. So that sense in us that gives or grants attention and that can stay present, whatever is going on, the mumbo jumbo of life, that aspect is not actually us in the sense that we don't own it personally. It's not like a personal creation of ours either, like an imaginary self. It is a self, capital S. And that self, that shining energy of self or presence, is shining through everything, including us. We refer to this as the inner self, capital S, large S, because it reminds us that there is a larger loving presence or a larger wisdom which we have access to, and which is us coming through as that, expressing itself uniquely in the way that our kaleidoscope expresses that. And then the physiological fluctuations, what I just called the mumbo jumbo, that is our addition to it all. We've added that. So like there's this shining presence in nature, and then there's what humans have added to it, right? And so we've added this on top of that sense of this presence. And it's an addition because these fluctuations are things that we are trying to sort out, but they aren't permanent. They aren't like ongoing and abiding. And this presence is ever abiding. So we have our heart rate, we have our body temperature, we have our thoughts, our emotions, all of the structures of that. And we do in human civilization, we tend to spend a lot of time trying to understand that stuff or trying to avoid it with various sort of activities and substances and things like so. In yoga, we're trying to come back to that presence, that abiding, loving presence. And pranayama is a great way to come back to that. So right where you're sitting, take the arms out to the side, turn your palms face out. And as you inhale, just begin to slowly raise your arms, reaching out beyond even your fingertips, the end of your physical body. Reach out beyond that into the space that surrounds you. As you exhale, join your palms and bring them back down the center line of the body. This is really simple, but I'm going to ask you to do it with a sense of the fullness of your heart. And we're going to pace the breath. So the inhale is the guide for how long the movement lasts. It's the length of your inhale. And the exhale lasts a certain duration. So the movement of the hands back to center, that goes with the length of your exhale. Okay, let's do it 3 more times. Now you might, on the next couple breath cycles, lightly count the length of your inhale and the length of your exhale. And I say lightly count because you're kind of researching. What is the current length of your in-breath? And what is the current length of your out-breath? Don't pressure it to be longer or different. You can act like a scientist and observe. Rest your hands in your lap and let's do palms face down. So whatever the length of the breath was there, it's reflecting your years of pranayama practice, or last night's sleep, or yesterday's diet, or all of those things, right? So it's reflecting a kind of summation of where you are in the present moment. Now we're going to practice a little bit of a blowing off technique to balance O2 and CO2. So when we do this one, we do 5 strong exhales, 1 long exhale, and we're going to inhale to hold for a few moments, and we'll exhale to release that, and we'll do this 3 times in total. Let's do it together, the first one. breathe in through your nose. Hold for a moment. Exhale through your nose. Deeply relax. And then repeating that. Allow the last exhale through the nose to be quite like sighing. You're just letting the breath fall from the body. And I'm going to guess you've got one more round to do. So when you're ready to do that, please proceed. When you finish the last round there, then again, sit quietly and just notice any changes in the weather pattern in the mind or in your body, any changes at all. Okay, now interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands straight down. And breathing in, pace the length of your physical movement with the length of your inhale. We have a lower third, middle third, upper third to the torso for the breath. Look up at the top. Then exhale, press your arms out to the sides of the room. As your hands come down, clasp them at the small of your back. Inhale, roll your shoulders back. Lift your chest and your heart, open your throat. And exhale, bow forward, whatever amount of forward bow is within your reach. Inhale, rise up to your seat. And exhale, release the clasp of your hands to bring them back around in front. Okay, again, inhale. Exhale. Interlace the fingers. Inhale, going upwards. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, rise up to your seat. Exhale, release the clasp of the hands. And one more time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale at your own body's pace. Follow your exhale. Inhale up to your seat. And exhale, place your hands back in your lap. And you might have noticed any change in the length or capacity of your breath on that sequence relative to the first time through. And even as you're noticing slight changes, sensations, the pace of the breath, all of that is in the realm of the fluctuations. And that in you, which is able to observe, is that larger presence. Now we're going to do another blowing off technique. So you'll notice that there's a blowing off technique and then there's a longer breath technique, and we're going to vary that back and forth. And also that since you're here as a part of a yoga psychology training, what we've done so far would be something that you could do in a seated therapeutic setting, right? You could be sitting in a chair to do these things. We're sitting here in a yoga format, but you could be sitting in a therapeutic format too. Okay, so this now blowing off technique, we're going to do 30 brisk exhalations out through the nose, using the diaphragm to kind of pump the breath out. At the end of those 30 exhales, we'll have one long exhale. We'll inhale again to hold for a few moments, and then we'll exhale once more like we're sighing and letting the breath just fall from the body. So it goes like this. Exhale. Inhale slowly. And then hold. And exhale to release like you're sighing. Now we'll repeat that. So at your own timing, at your own rhythm. Exhale completely. Inhale slowly. And exhale thoughtfully and completely. And then deeply relax and rest in that benevolent witnessing self. Now, having moved energy like that, let's do one more practice where we're sitting and we've got like a longer inhale, longer exhale. So what we're looking at here is the way that you breathe in and out, to the extent that you're able to, make them more equal in length, and try to sense that you have the capacity for a slightly longer inhale without causing breathlessness, and a slightly longer exhale without causing breathlessness. So you have to supervise that in kind of a loving way for yourself. You're chaperoning an experience, not competing to have the longest inhale or the longest exhale. Okay, so take the palms face out once again. Inhale, raise up. And as you're raising the arms, the first third of the breath, middle third, the upper third of the inhale. And then exhale and twist to your right. Inhale, raise up. Exhale, twist left. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, twist right. Inhale, raise up. Exhale, twist left. One more time to center. And exhale, hands down to the heart. And once again, simply sit and notice if you're getting maybe a deeper glimpse of the meditative capacity of your mind. So think of the practice you just did kind of having an echo in your body and your mind. The way the train goes by, it's gone, but its sound is still leaving. So listen for the echo. Okay, now we're going to come up to standing, and we're going to again do a kind of a blowing off technique, something. So this is our rhythm this morning, like move energy or dissipate the fog, and then move smoothly, slowly, clearly. So it's not to say that this is the only method, it's that it's our morning method today. So come up to standing, please. When you come up to standing, take a stance a little bit wider than hip distance apart. And in this stance, bend your knees slightly like you're riding a horse. It's actually called horse stance. So when you take the stance, bend the knees a little bit, point them out in line with your toes. Sit into your hips and pelvis. So we're going to be going across the body in this kind of pattern. And when we move across, on one hand position is going to be like this. And the other, when we're pulling back with the other hand, is a gesture with the elbow making a fist like this. Right? So it's So you can't see my left arm right there, or you can't see my right arm right there, but you know that it's pulling back like this. So the twist that we're causing, we're going to keep the legs stable. So the feet, shins, knees, thighs, hips, this is stable. And the movement is in the torso and the organs and the breath. Okay, so like this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come to center. Inhale. And exhale, bend your knees, make your feet parallel, come down like a little ragdoll stance, relax the weight of your head. Breathe in slowly through the nose and up from the low belly to the mid-torso to the heart. And exhale long and smooth out through the nose. Do that one more time, a long, smooth inhale. Exhale thoughtfully. Raise your hands to your hips and rise up to standing. Okay, turn your toes back out, bend the knees, take a seat. If you'd like to make it a little bit more intermediate, you can go a little bit wider. So you're taking a little wider horse. You got the larger horse. Hold the pelvis stable. You don't need to make it more dynamic. It's not necessary. So keeping in mind, I'm only offering that if you'd like to. And for some people, that feels more grounding. And therefore, their vata dosha comes back down and they sense the kapha dosha, the strength of the legs. But for others, it would feel like it needs more stamina and it might not be the day for that. Okay, again, this is a powerful exhale out the mouth, like the first 5 strong exhales, 1 long exhale that we did. So this is powerful and rhythmic, okay, in your own timing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now inhale, rise up. Make your feet parallel and exhale to come down. Enjoy a long, smooth inhalation through the nose. And a slow, thoughtful exhalation out through the nose. And do that one more time. Raise your hands to your hips. Rise up to standing. Let's go heel toe, back to center. So that was more of a blowing off technique. Now we'll do something that includes that long, smooth breath cycle, right? So you could think of it on the one hand, we're giving a little bit of rajas. In yoga, we call this rajas, a rajasic practice. It means that it's moving energy and might be generating some energy too, or it might be untrapping some held energy, right? So it's not that we're raising energy from nothing. There's energy sometimes stored or trapped in the body. And the rajas practice is moving the debris that prevents that energy from being available to you. So that's called rajas, a rajasic practice. Other times we feel so rajasic, we feel kind of energized but ungrounded or anxious or mentally cluttered. So we use a rajasic practice to move that energy off because that's like out of balance, accumulated energy. The long, smooth movement has a little bit more of a quality of what's called tamas or tamasic energy. It's helping us to be more grounded or to slow down. And it hopefully is bringing us to a place we call sattva, the sattvic energy, the balanced energy. Okay, so what we're going to do here is really simple. Keep your feet in mountain pose. Inhale, turn your palms face out and rise up again, just like we did when we were sitting. Exhale, arms wide and bow forward. Come down to Uttanasana, taking the pace of the exhale long and smooth. And then inhale, arms wide as you rise up. Take your time. You're pacing the movement of your body according to the length of your inhale. And then exhale, hands to your heart. Deliberately pace with the length of the breath, even if the movement is a simple one. Let's repeat that. Inhale. When you exhale, come forward. And as you're pacing, know that the part of your mind that paces the breath with you and for you is really instrumental in bringing a quality of mental groundedness. Let's rise up. It's because the part of the brain that can help you with pacing, counting, sensing, is up in the neocortex. And then as you exhale, hands to the heart. So you're basically bringing in this sort of wise chaperone self to do the pacing that you're doing right now. Let's do it one more time. At the same time, we're moving, breathing, sensing. We're using the lizard brain and the limbic brain as well. But you've got this beautiful synchronizing, orchestrating. You're giving like a bath to your brain right now. So one more time, rising up. And then hands to the heart. Notice the quality of your mind. And perhaps even the stillness of your breath and your body. Release both hands. So in what we've done so far, even if you were in a therapeutic setting, my hope is that you could do some of these things with a client. And I'm not saying that this is the sequence. This is an exploration of tools that we're doing this morning. So it's not the sequence to do with your client, but some of these tools may be helpful. So when somebody comes in and they're very, let's say, rajasic, they're feeling maybe anxious or ungrounded or really energized. Perhaps they're really animated, but their energy is like from the sternum, the top of the sternum up into the head, and maybe some arm gestures. It's going to be helpful to move that rajasic energy so that they can feel an appropriate balance of energy through the whole body and reconnect to the mind that is also their loving witness or their presence. Other times people come in kind of lethargic or maybe feeling pessimistic or not very motivated. So having some movement for them to rebalance energy again can be really helpful. Let's come down to the floor in table pose. And I know that for some of you who are practicing in therapeutic settings, you do have a floor spot available. You have this as an option. And I'm going to ask you to reach for a block. And this block is going to go under your head in child's pose. So let's place that so that your head is level with or slightly higher than your heart in child's pose. Drop your sitting bones down to your heels and walk your hands forward in this child's pose. So notice that how we set up this child's pose, your body's going to prioritize the breath to come down into the pelvis and also into your back waist and the sides of the torso. And so what's happening here is your diaphragm is resuming breathing you. The upper chest and intercostal muscles cannot initiate the inhale right now. So the diaphragm regains some strength and some leadership. You're also likely to notice that you'll have what we call lateral rib expansion during the inhale. And that lateral rib expansion is really key for your body to sense the nervous system from which you want to operate. which is not your fight or flight nervous system. That's used for emergencies, not for daily living. This lateral rib expansion is sometimes called kidney breathing. You can also imagine that you're breathing into your kidneys. So keeping in mind the feeling tone of this position, now walk your hands back towards your knees, put your block aside, and lie on your stomach. When you come down to your stomach, put your arms into what we call Sphinx pose, or you can use a prayer kind of position like this also. And as you come down, place your elbows either directly under your shoulders or slightly forward of your shoulders. Keep the legs stretched out behind you. And then notice what your body does here with the breath. It will tend to be a different shape for the breath because of the different shape of the body. You may notice now that the inhale will include the upper chest and even perhaps the upper back. But does your in-breath have the capacity to start in the pelvis or down low in your abdomen? Now walk your elbows forward and place your hands so that you've got your index finger behind the ears. The heels of the hands are kind of on your jawline. And as you walk the elbows forward, use your hands to lift the base of your skull up a little bit off of your neck. And then once more, notice the shape of the breath in this position. You make an effort for a long, smooth breath cycle here and a smooth exhale. What is the quality of that effort now? What is your relationship to the effort? And then walk your hands and elbows down to a kind of pillow position and rest your chin on the back of your hands. And notice now the different shape of the breath. You might once again observe that your diaphragm is being strengthened by this position, and there's a natural rib expansion on the backside, so that kidney breathing returns more naturally again. And then place your hands beneath your shoulders, press up to table pose, and come onto your back. Lie on your back comfortably. Take the arms, palms face up. So each of those are called positional pranayamas. We came down purposely in that child's pose for the breath to come into the low pelvis, the back waist, purposely in Sphinx pose for the breath to be able to include thoraco-diaphragmatic breathing. Purposely in that position where you're holding the ears and the jawline. So you're not only stretching the neck and this sort of myofascial link between the mouth and all the way down the body for breathing, you're also allowing that thoraco-diaphragmatic breath again to now include the upper part of thoracic spine. When you came back down to that pillow position, your body resumes mostly diaphragmatic breathing, not thoraco-diaphragmatic breathing. Now, close your eyes in this little mini Shavasana and practice completely surrendering. The breath is going to take care of you. You don't need to be in charge of it. Deeply relax your mind, your body, just being with your benevolent observer or that larger loving witness that comes through you. You rest for just one more minute. Notice the way that you rest into surrender. How do you welcome the quality of stillness or surrender? And then begin to wiggle your fingers, your toes. Bend one knee at a time. Just roll to your side and return to sitting. When you come back to your seat, make it your comfortable seat as you need it. For some of us, that means much less support under the hips, and for others, it might mean more support under the hips or pelvis. And then drop your hands to your lap wherever you prefer them to be for meditation. All along the way this morning, we pause to check and see, do we get a glimpse of the meditative mind? We're pausing for that glimpse again. And yet, please know that that which you're glimpsing is not coming and going. It has not faded between pranayama practices. It's not rising and passing. This meditative state that we hope for a glimpse, we are rejoining that meditative presence or energy. Raise your hands to your heart. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namah. Hari Om. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. So this chant means where there is consciousness or peace or wholeness. From that peace, even if you try to subtract peace, only peace remains. If there's consciousness, from that consciousness, even if you try to subtract consciousness, consciousness remains. Where there is wholeness, that wholeness is always abiding. And so that presence that I'm referring to, that you are returning or rejoining with in these glimpses, you're remembering the self, capital S, or the true nature of life. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Aum. So you can think of it like, oh, it's this ever renewing consciousness or peace or wholeness. It's on its own, already luminous or already full, right? That fullness is still there. It's we that have the unfortunate mental and human capacity to come and go from that. We are the ones departing. It is not departing from us. So meditation is really the act of remembering that coming back to. And we ask for these little glimpses initially with ourselves or our students or our clients, because sometimes it can feel like beautifully overwhelming. Oh, that thing. Whoa, life is so much more than just this hubbub or mayhem that we get into. So the mumbo jumbo of the mind, we can sometimes take that to be life. Like I'm just trying to sort out the mumbo jumbo stuff, but it is not life. It is a human creation on top of consciousness and nature. So may you have a beautiful morning from the result of this practice, and may it stimulate some fondness for that returning. Thank you once again. Thank you so much for joining us for this practice. I hope you have found it to be beneficial. You may also have questions or comments from the practice, so please leave those down below the video. I do enjoy coming back to those, and sometimes your questions stimulate the next thing I'll be teaching in a class. So thank you for those. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. And if, as I'm talking this class through, you realize, oh, you are also a practitioner, a medical health provider, a mental health provider, and you'd like to understand more about yoga therapy or yoga psychology, please let us know that also in the comments down below. And you can check the description for links to the teacher training school as well. Thank you so much. Namaste.